Yeah, I just had a look at the race director and saw what you were just seeing. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going to rain in the next 2 seconds. So I mean, we'll see how those drivers do. But you'd expect to see Jitto, Sim, and Chungus to be, well, potentially even in the top 10 off the start, just with how much more grip they'll have and how hard it is to start off the line on the hard compound tyres. But yeah, we'll wait and see if that's an inspired decision or a suicidal decision. But as Crowding and Chungus have made contact on the formation lap, so yeah, I mean, if it wasn't going that well for Crowding, it's going horrendously now. So had this crash in qualifying. Now he's, well, might not have been at fault, but Chungus has potentially gone into the back of him, which is not fantastic. But the rest of the drivers on the hards, it'll be interesting to see how Luca and Corey do off the line. See if anybody behind them can. Who do you think is going to, if you had to pick up absolutely anybody to win this race, who do you think it's going to be?
At the risk of jinxing, Max, normally I wouldn't really pick a race winner, but Lucas seems to have the wet conditions nailed down, and I'm confident he'll transfer that pace into race pace in the dry. So if I had to pick anyone, it'd have to be BRT Luca, as long as he can, tune out those tiny errors we saw at Silverstone. He made a few losses at the rear end, a bit shaky through some corners. And of course, they're small errors, but in this division, they are very significant and could literally change the course of a race, as we saw in Silverstone. So if he can tune out those mistakes and keep it clean, he could definitely take his first Mckeon win.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if he can convert this pole position this time out, but there's going to be plenty of challenges behind as people just miss their grid box ever so slightly. So that's 3 of the drivers as we wait for the reigning champion to slot into his grid slot. I believe Midsy's actually not in the session yet, so there's a 5 red lights go on and off. We are underway here in France, and Luca's got an excellent start, and Paraquix is already side by side with Corey going down towards turn 1 as he dives down the inside, but Corey has the outside line and he stays ahead going through turn 2 as they're all at 6s and 7s back there, as side by side back here with Jam, and Griffiths sends it down the inside. Jam holds it in there, but Griffiths has the inside line and he takes the position away from Jam as Ogwin goes down, as Sem and Jitto already up to 9th and 10th, and they're going almost side by side, and they are still side by side as Jitto has made the move on Sem, and they're already flying up the grid as there's been a few drivers off in the background, as looks like Sem is struggling here as Crowding goes up his inside as well. And Crowding is going absolutely rocketing down the back straight, and they're all almost 3 wide in the background here. They are 3 wide as Sem loses out even more, and he was had a great start, and now his start is just going down the order as it looks like. Race Roller tries to go down his inside. Sem tries to go down the inside of Chungus and does make that move stick in the end, and they all settle as Race Roller now goes down the inside of Chungus, and Griffiths is right on the back of W Turner, but Simba, it is BRT Luca who leads still from Corey, Para and Andres.
Yep, so Luca doing what he needed to do, getting a great start from pole position. Sem really dropping back despite getting that great start. Chungus goat is in the pit, but it's BRT Luca up to the head of the field, and Sem is really struggling in a straight line. And you got a feel for him here. He got a great start, but he's not going down without 5. He's gone round instead at turn 2. Oh no.
He had a good start, but it hasn't paid off in the end. I just missed that because I was looking on board at the front because they were getting a bit closer. But yeah, Sem unfortunately finds himself at the back of the pack. And here comes BRT Griffiths. He's got an excellent run out of turn 7, but with the ERS and straight line speed of the Alpine, he has to stick behind Andres. Seems to just be the cork in the bottle at the moment, as Mitzi is back. I don't think is Mitzi. Yeah, Mitzi's not in his car at the moment, Simba. So
I've actually tried to invite the guy, and
there's not much.
What's happened is apparently he's apparently on GTA Online.
Okay, so. Well, maybe let's just leave that one for the rest of this race then. Unfortunately, so things have happened while I was gone, and maybe he's had enough of France, and he will not be taking any physical part in this session. But we still have the train, as we thought there would be, as Lucas sets the fastest lap. Corey still follows. Paraquix a little bit closer as Crowning sets the fastest lap, and he is trying his best to recover the damage that was done in Q2 when he crashed, as Andres still trying his best to hold on, but at the moment it seems like he will be the one being overtaken instead of doing the overtaking, as he comes through the detection point. He has not got any DRS, or he has got DRS, just about got DRS, but I fear next lap Simba might it might just go away from him.
Yeah, Andres just about staying in there, just about hanging on for dear life with DRS. Obviously it's so crucial around this track. You know, we were talking before this stream that, you know, it might be a DRS train, and if you don't have DRS, you're easily going to drain at least, you're going to bleed at least 2-3 tenths on every single DRS straight, which is not ideal for anyone. But Turner would probably he'd probably be hoping to get as close as he can to that Haas car and overtake him with some ERS and the overtake button. Obviously ERS management is going to come into play as well. As you can see, most of the drivers have used about half their battery as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how each driver approaches strategy. I think that's
Corey.
You think
Corey's missed out on DRS, I think. Yeah, yes, he has.
There you go.
No DRS, as Lucas sets the fastest lap of the race, and he is absolutely flying out front. And the French Grand Prix is, well, his home circuit, and he seems to be loving life at the moment. Be careful just not to push too hard though on those tyres, because I think that was potentially his downfall back in Silverstone, but he seems to be fairly on it at the moment, as Sem will be taking no further part in this session. Paraquix at the moment not making any indents either.
Yeah, Sem has had enough. I feel for him, honestly. You know, he's in several practice lobbies over the course of the week, you know, making sure he's putting in the best laps possible, because it's so competitive in Mckeon. You know, the smallest margins can be the difference between making Q2 and, you know, missing out on Q3 as well. And, you know, he puts in so much effort to put in that one lap pace every single week, and it never turns into anything in the race. So Sam with another non-finish, and he stayed on 2 points so far this season. It's been a really bleak season for Sam, and yeah, it's quite a shame, but sometimes that happens. And
I almost feel like Lucas just driving a different track at the moment. He's literally pulled like a second, just almost 7 tenths on this lap or something like that. But yeah, I don't know if it's that or Corey is not out to pace, but Luke is absolutely flying at the moment, and well, my Paraquic's not really getting close to Corey. It seems like it's just Luca who's got absolutely just bags of pace out front, and it's a battle for second place at this current moment, but we all know how the race can turn on its head in a split second. It looks like Turner in the background is a little bit out of shape here, and that's going to invite Griffiths right onto the back of him. No DRS for the Alpine, and he's going to come to the left hand side, and here comes Jam as well. Is he going to have a go on the Alpine? No, he's not. Griffiths puts it up the inside, and he takes the position. Oh no, he's spun on the corner. There's a big contact, and Jam is round. And I think Griffiths might have damaged. Turner went into the back of him as well. And there's big contact. And I don't know how many drivers are involved here, but yeah, there was certainly, everyone was at 6s and 7s, and Ogween's found himself just missing all that. And Jitto up as well has improved, but that has left the group second place with only 3 cars when it was basically the rest of the grid.
Yeah, and there you go. That one moment from Griffiths has changed the course of the race for so many people. They're going to have to try and use up the remainder of their battery just to keep up with the top 3. Well, that fight for second place. And Turner, you know, I said earlier when you were gone, he needed a good race. It's been a rocky season, and he's just been caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. And he's going to have to change his front wing, and that is a great shame for him, as he was running P5 and was definitely in that fight for a solid point finish, but now it's turned on its head for him. And there you go. No fault of his own. Very unlucky is W. Turner, but the race goes on. Ogween is now going to have to find a good 0.8 of a second on Andres to get DRS.
Yeah, this is where it comes crucial to try, but if you're not in a DRS train around any track really, you're just not going to get anywhere near, as Chungus has spun down on the exit of turn 2, and it looks like F1 driver has also spun as well. So 2 drivers spinning down at turn 2 and exit of turn 2. And that's not gone well, and they're even further back than they were before. Luca has extended his lead to 2.2 seconds. Then comes Corey with a couple of drivers behind him, and then comes a group of Ogween, Jitto, who's just holding on those soft compound tyres still, very nicely. In 6th he's gone up to, so the Haas drivers are really going well, but he's had a little bit of a poor exit here, coming out the final corner. Still gets DRS. The Crowding has to wait behind even more, and Crowding does have a 3-second time penalty already, so that's going to push him further back from the end of this race. Ogween is already flashing on his ERS, so he is burning, like you say, but maybe he's going too much, as Turner has come into the pits and retired.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Turner, but yeah, like I said earlier, ERS is so key around this track, and this track in particular, you need to be in a DRS train, otherwise it's just going to be a really long race for you, because it's really hard to get back into the train.
Oh, and Summoner has spun round, unfortunately, down at turn 6. Race Roller's got ahead of his teammate as well. So, yeah, that's unfortunate for Summer. He made a fairly decent start, but unfortunately he's got caught out with a little bit of a spin. Yeah,
very unfortunate for Southerner. He was running in P11, just outside the points, was definitely thinking of some points as well, running in 11th, but unfortunately for him, he's down in 14th, and he's got quite a way to catch the ghost car of Midzu, since he can...
Yeah.
He's clearly bothered about something else compared to the Mckeon race, but on board with Crowding in the Ferrari, he's seen the 2 cars in front of him flashing, and he's going to actually have a go on the main straight. DRS wide open, using the ERS advantage he has, and that is him up into P6. So Crowding, with that penalty, he knows he's got to get a move on, and that's exactly what the Ferrari driver has done, and he can go chasing after SLR Ogween, who is already flashing with no ERS.
Yeah, he's on a mission, is Crowding. He needs to gain a lot of time and an extra 3 seconds as well. And we have more grip than Jitto behind. He's just going to start to fade even more. Looks like Midsea's AI is deciding to get in amongst it with Jam somehow. But yeah, gap south 3 seconds out front, so he's even got a gap with the penalty. So as BRT Brian re-overtakes his teammate as they're just swapping positions. But this is good news for, in terms of the championship, it's still good news for Ogween, because his main championship rival Jam is down in 13th.
Yeah, Jam, really unfortunate with that incident with Griffiths and Turner. And he's found himself down in 13th. Apparently, I've just looked at chat, and Liam has typed in that Sam was running a setup with 49 on the rear wing.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Yeah, no wonder he was slow in a straight line when it got to the dry conditions. But Jitto has finally come into the pits, and he'll put on a hard set of tyres. I guess to go to the end of the race. He's probably aiming for.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good stint for Jitto. You know, he knew he needed to be aggressive. He was starting outside the top 10, and he had that. You know, he just about got out of the way of that collision with Griffiths and Turner and Jam. And I think that's a really good stint from him. You know, making those tyres work until they dropped off, and now he can go to the end of the race on those tyres. I think it's going to be quite difficult. It's not quite the first day of the game where the tyre wear wasn't as abrasive as it is now, but I think you'll have no trouble getting to the end of this race. And if there is a safety car in the next 3-4 laps, then he can just put on a set of mediums and get to the end that way. So Jitto could be a dark horse in this race, depending on if a safety car shows up.
Oof, as BRT Brian drifts round turn 8 as he makes an overtake on Elite Risk, but is Elite going to come back? Brian does defend, but it seems like Elite has given up the position for now. I think it's a nice slipstream though. He's going to have a look down into Labosay, but he thinks better of it and stays behind, and BRT Brian makes his way up into 7th place. This race just come a little bit disjointed after the BRT Griffiths spin and the collisions after that, but Timber Paraquix is right on the back of Corey at the moment. He's getting ever so closer, and he's bringing Andres along with him.
Yeah, Corey really struggling at the pace at this point. The gap out in front, nearly 4 seconds after 9 laps. So BRT Luca clearing a world of his own, and yeah, Corey just hanging on to P2 for dear life, but I think it's just a matter of time before Quicks decides to make that move for P2. And he's got to make it, you know, he's got to be clinical about it, because if he makes a mistake during that move, Andres can literally just pounce on the opportunity if it's presented to him. So yeah, Quicks really needs to be clinical if he wants to make the move, but he doesn't seem like he wants to make one anytime soon. He's happy to sit behind the Williams and maybe think of an undercut to get ahead.
Yeah, he's probably just thinking long term here, really. He knows his fight is with Corey in 2nd place, and yeah, he well, it was going to be a mammoth task to even catch up anyone to catch up Luca. So yeah, I think this fight for 2nd place is really on, and it just seems like Corey is starting to struggle a little bit more than before. He seemed like he had good pace just to keep them at bay, but now it seems like Para has got more of a chance to overtake, as he's almost pushing him through the final corner. Probably not going to be the greatest exit. No, he's not. And look at Ogween, is 1.4 seconds back. So Corey really has brought Ogween back into play.
Yeah, that is true. So Ogween didn't get the greatest of starts. He found himself down in P8. Now all of a sudden he can still fight for a podium. Paraquix has got to get on with it, because if Ogween gets involved and he's dragging crowding along with him as well, this goes from a 3-way fight to a 5-way fight. For P2, as someone spun off in the background, that's V2 Combat, V2. And Southerner will say, thank you very much, I will take that final points paying position, and he's up into P10 despite having a spin earlier in the race. So Southerner with a bit of luck on his side there, and he finds himself up into the points paying positions on lap 11 as Chungus Curtis retired and left the session. So he was down in 17th. He had a spin earlier, but he won't score any points. AlphaTauri going pointless once again, but Paraquix apparently has gone purple in the middle sector, so he's feeling, I think his pace, it looks quite good. I think he might be feeling quite quick as well. He just needs to pick that one moment, one mistake from Corey, and he'll find himself up into P2.
When will they pit is the question. I think what we're saying, the Jam's come in very early for a pit stop. So what I'd say probably around lap 15 will be the average for the pit stop. As in the background, I thought Paraquix was about to go down the inside. He's not, but he's put on his ERS, and now Corey's going to have to go defensive. He's using a bit of his ERS as well. Will Paraquix find an avenue down the inside? He won't. He'll back out and settle in behind him. And for a moment there, Simba, I thought Paraquix was going to go steaming down the inside. And now he's got to look in his mirrors as Andres is hot on his heels.
Yeah, this is exactly what Quicks wanted to avoid, you know, having Andres having a little look at the rear of the Mercedes. He needs to be clinical about it. I actually thought he was going to send it as well. Oh no, and Andres, makes a mistake, and there you go, there's the chance gone. Ogwin just misses out on DRS though. But now, that's played into Ogwin's hands. He's now within DRS range the next time they go over the detection point. So, it's game on for P2.
It is. Now Andres, Ogren's going to be willing Andres to get a move on. He's not using any RS here, but he might just have to try and get back into DRS range. He's teetering on the edge of 1 second as Paraquix is right up the back of SLR Corey. And it looks like he's just about got enough pace. As I feel like Para might go for a move, but will he go for an undercut? Would he go for an overcut? I mean, it's going to be one of those situations where you probably want to go for an undercut onto the mediums and just absolutely send it around the lap, as Luca is over 5 seconds clear now. This is going to be potentially over 10 seconds come the end of the race at this pace. Yellow flag behind, and that is V2 once again, who has spun, and that is another spin for the Williams driver. Unfortunately for him, he's dropped now down to 13th place, and yeah, he's really struggling to keep the car in a straight line. But we have a big group in the battle for the podium places. Crowding, unfortunately, with that 3-second time penalty, would find himself out of contention anyway, but he's going to try his best to see if he can make any difference. Jam in the other Ferrari picks up a 3-second time penalty to his name as well, but he is down in 15th.
Jam having his miseries compounded there with that penalty. You know, he was running P7, I think, before that collision with Griffiths and Turner. But, yeah, that penalty will definitely put him out of contention. Race Roller gets a penalty as well. And Roller's actually been... he actually had a really good start to this race. He was 17th on the grid. He's up into P9. He's got elite risk right in front of him. But I don't think he'll be troubling the Alfa Romeo anymore with that time penalty. So penalties are going to play a factor. This is literally one of the worst tracks to drive on this game, literally because it is so easy to get a warning in pretty much almost every corner on this racetrack. So these guys have got to be careful about where they're going to go and push to the limit, because literally one little moment of going over the limit, that's it, you've got a penalty. As Jitto makes his way past Midsy's Ghost, but Paraquix is right behind Corey. He's got to make the move now, surely.
He has, but he's still not. Is this the lap where he goes for the undercut? It's interesting. Yellow flag in sector 2. For a second, I thought that was going to be BRC Luca. It's not. It's F1 driver. And Jam has gone off as well, down in the final sector. And his woes continue in this race. But yeah, does he decide to... Any of these people decide to go for an undercut maybe on those medium tyres? There is potential there for that to happen as F1 driver spins off once again. And now he's going to have to get out of the way as Race Roller takes the place off Elite and then comes to the pits and retires from the session.
Yeah, huge shame for Jam. He was Ogwin's closest rival, 3 wins this season, and unfortunately it's not going to be win number 4 in this one, and Ogwin has a huge opportunity to extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship, a championship lead he's held for quite some time already, and it looks like he could extend
Corey's
even
in,
more.
and Corey speeds into the pit lane. No. And that's going to be 5 seconds added on to his race time. as Luca comes up to Jam's AI, and luckily it doesn't affect him too badly. F1 driver retires in the pit lane, but Corey's covered off Paraquix as almost Para beats him out of the pit lane, and well, unfortunately for Corey, that's not going to be very good at all. Oh, as Corey hits the wall coming out of the pits, and I think he might have escaped with damage, but his last minute for Corey has, last 30 seconds or so, has not really gone that well at all. But Corey out ahead, and Southerner is about 1.5 seconds ahead of this pair.
Yeah, Corey, that might have been the biggest mistake you could have done potentially all season, because that is a race killer. He's probably going to be out of contention for a podium now, especially if he can't heat up these medium tyres with the guys on the overcut, as Crowding is still right behind Ogwin. I've seen, on his onboard, he's been really close to making a move, but he hasn't quite taken that one opportunity yet. Ogwin's still with less than 10% ERS, as Luca is in the pits. Is anyone else going to follow him in?
Everyone's coming in.
Yeah, everyone's in. As Crowding nearly goes into Ogwin there, but gets away with
Ryan
it.
carries on, which will essentially, no, Race Roller carries on. Elite comes in. Southerner is in the direct line of Corey and Paraquix, and now it's important to see the undercut. Luca will be out fine in the lead, well, in the net lead of this race. Southerner gets out of the way of SLR Corey, and Luca comes out. Here comes Andres Ogwin Crowding coming out the pit lane now, and it's going to be very close, as was a little bit sneaky from Andres as he's come out on track just ahead of Paraquix. His tyres will be cold, Paraquix will be warm. He has the inside line. It's going to be very close down towards turn 3 and 4, but Andres stays ahead as Paraquix just gets all out of shape, and Andres has taken a net second place with Corey's penalty, but Paraquix has the DRS now. Andres does have no DRS as Corey streaks clear. Here comes Paraquix once again with the ERS, with the DRS. He has the slipstream, and Andres is not going to defend, as is Paraquix going to stay and get back. He takes a 3-second time penalty himself, so that's not gone well at all as he tries to overtake Andres. He gets up another warning, and that's going to push up the drivers behind him even more, and Andres is looking on for a potential second place here, Simba and Ogwin, to round out the podium if all goes well.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think Para just lost his head there, because he was so, he's been struggling to pass Corey this entire race. He's been really pushing him into making a mistake, and that's simply not happening. Now with Andres getting right in front of him, a little bit cheeky at turn 1, but I think he really has lost his head there going into turn 8. He just wanted to get ahead of the Haas car without any sort of consequence.
Ogwin is lagging all over the place at the moment.
That is not good news for him.
Not ideal, as Crowding tries to make a move, but well, yeah, let's keep an eye on that, because well, he was a little bit back and forth as Crowding was trying to make a move, and he was trying to go around the outside but could not. And yeah, so Ogwin seems to be a little bit more settled now, as Paraquix already goes defensive, as Corey has a little bit of breathing room now finally, but Ogwin is going to try and go around the outside of Andres down into the chicane. He gives him a little bit of a nudge, and Ogwin can't force his way through, and he's trying to make this move as quickly as possible because he knows there's pressure from behind. And actually Jitto has made a massive undercut read to try and get back in contention with this battle as well.
Yeah, so if these guys keep on battling, Jitto could literally find himself fighting for a potential podium position. And he's like outside the top 10, so Jitto could make this work, but unfortunately for him, he's surrounded by drivers. He's got drivers in front of him that are on faster, fresher tyres, as Race Roller leads the race. Well, he did lead the race, he's pitted, but BRT Luca in a world of his own. He's just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 33.0, which is absolutely insane. Insane pace from the Mercedes. But we're talking about the fight for. Look at this, like 4 cars. I think it's four cars literally fighting for podium places, and this is going to be quite an intense 10 laps here.
Yeah, they're within 1 second of each other briefly. It's just throw a blanket over the whole roof. And Paracrix goes really wide, and that's going to allow Andres to have a nice run here. And it should be fairly comfortable, but Paracrix goes defensive. And he's trying. Ogween's going to pull to the left-hand side, and he goes ahead of him. Is he going to go down the inside as we head to this? Oh, they've made contact! They've made contact!
Crowding's through!
Crowding's managed to get through because of that. Paracrix still holds the position over Ogween. Ogween's not going to be happy at all with the Mercedes driver. He's pushing him through turn 10. He stays ahead for now. And wow, that was a contentious moment in this race. Paracrix held it in there, and then they seemed to just almost glue onto each other, and they were heading off towards a place where you don't really normally see an F1 car around this track.
Ah, you wouldn't. Yeah, Ogween is going to be absolutely fuming. Luca with another ridiculous fastest lap, a 32.5, 6 seconds ahead of Corey. But Ogween is going to be fuming as Crowder goes down the inside of Andres into turn 1. You don't see moves there. And that's exactly why, but he's put off the hash through turn 2. He's got a good run. Is he going to make the move into turn 3? But Crowding thinks better of it. And honestly, I'm kind of glad he didn't go for the move there, because that would have been race suicide if he went for that move. He knows Ogween is just about.
He has made a move.
DRS.
Has Ogween got the DRS? He has.
He does. So I think
here comes
that Crowding might have just put him off a little bit, but there he goes. He's through past the Haas. He's into P3 on track. But Andres at the moment and Ogween look like they're going to be rounding up the podium at this stage of the race. If Crowding can catch up to Corey, that's how much time they've lost. They've effectively lost 3 seconds to Corey, which is absolutely disastrous for Andres and Ogween, because now it's going to be quite close to both of them getting on the podium.
And Jitto's found himself catching up to this pack as well, with all this fighting going on. And Ogween found his way back past Para. Para's lost out massively to this. So kind of Para and Crowding have just swapped positions after all that. And Crowding now leads the train of cars. And Corey is 2.3 seconds clear. And he's just extended that as people are fighting. He's probably thankful that has happened. But the gap out front is 6.7 seconds, and it is rising.
Yeah, it absolutely is. As Roller makes a move on Combat 4P9, he's got a penalty, so I don't imagine him being in the point. I think Elite Risk might claim that final point if he could just stay within touching distance of Combat.
Combat still has to pit, so he's going for a safety car, but like you say, Elite and even Griffiths is close as well, so he might struggle to hold on to that point. V2 still has to come into the pits. So then, we're just waiting to see if there's an episode 2 of this battle and the shenanigans that it may bring. Not much battery going around, and they're all pretty low. Andres has the best everyone, and that's still not a lot. But Crowding has just closed the gap a little bit. He needs to actually be under 2 seconds, because if he's got a 3-second penalty, Corey's got that 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. If he gets under 2 seconds, which he is at the moment, he will finish ahead of Corey, but he'll obviously finish behind Andres and Ogween, so it's all going to change potentially across the line anyway. And the gap exceeds 7 seconds now, and it's been pure dominance from BRC Luca.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I actually forgot that Corey actually spent in the pit lane. I thought it was a 3-second time penalty. But yeah, just for reminding me, it is actually a 5-second penalty. So Corey might not even be on the podium here, which is very unfortunate for him. Crowding might still find his way back on. So for Ogween to get a podium, another podium, to add to his tally this season, he needs to pass Andres. But Andres has proven that, you know, he's willing to do whatever it takes to stay ahead of the car in front as Griffiths gets a time penalty that might derail his course for points down in P11. But it's not been a good day for the McLaren drivers whatsoever. Shame for Griffiths, he was fighting for a top 5 in this race, but now he's barely fighting for a point in this race. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But one thing I want to mention is that Paraquix has fallen out of Ogween's DRS.
Yeah, it's not. This second stint has really not gone his way at all. Ever since he came out of the pits, really, it's just unsettled himself, and yeah, he's just gone backwards. And also with that time penalty as well. Jitto might look interested, but he's obviously on older, hard compound tyres. He's going to try and get to the end of this race on. Jitto doing fairly well to keep competitive. Looks like he's on for at least 8th place. The gap.
Yeah, he's definitely on for that at least.
The gap between Crowley and Corey is 1.4, dipped under 1.5 seconds. So yeah, about 1.4, 1.5 seconds. It keeps changing. So on average, it's about 1.5 seconds. Andres is still coming along, as so is Ogween. So they're coming back at Corey here, and it's showing shades of the first stint where he kept losing pace lap after lap towards the end of the hard stint. But this time as he picks up a 3-second time penalty, and any chance he had, or any slim chance he had of getting on the podium, has gone, and he will find himself 8 seconds further back down the road, and that puts him, well, at the moment, about P7 or so, as Luca picks up a 3-second time penalty, but that won't matter.
No, I don't think it will. I mean, it's actually quite surprising he's found himself with a penalty, really. He's not really...
He probably want to make it look interesting, to be honest. So.
Yeah. It probably would, to be fair.
He probably just cut the track at one point. It's like, yeah, this will be interesting. Oh, as Corey spun. Corey spun out of the final corner. And this race has just gone down the drain. And he's trying to get back on the traction as Paraquix is coming up to the back of him. And he'll look interested to make a move, but Corey's race has just gone downhill in the space of about 1 minute, and out of the final corner he loops it around, and that puts Crowding up into 2nd place, Andres into 3rd, and Ogween into 4th.
Oh, Corey, what have you done? The spinning in the pit lane was bad enough, and he got himself another penalty, and he spun at the exit of the last corner, and I think there might be some serious tears in the general chat later on. That is definitely for sure, because he will be gutted at the fact he's thrown away. You know, he was already looking like a slim chance for a podium, and now it's, you know, he might not even finish in the top 5 at this rate. I think he just wants this race to end at this point, which is really unfortunate for him. But yeah, sayonara podium chances. Ogween might find himself into P3 on the road, as Combat gets a penalty as well. Not many drivers left without a penalty, including the race leader as well with a penalty. We've got yellow flags for Griffiths, who's gone off again at turn 6. So yeah, I think things might be starting to calm down just a little bit, and then we might have a frantic final few laps as everyone tries to recharge the battery for a last lap match.
Yeah, Paraquix pushes Corey through the final corner, but gets a poor exit. It looks like BRT Brian is going to make an overtake on Jitto. Should be fairly comfortable because his tyres are a lot fresher and a lot more grip. With 7 lap old mediums and 15 lap old hards, as Corey runs wide out of turn 2, and well, he won't want to do that too many more times, because that'll be another penalty to his name, and he may be in danger of dropping back even behind towards the lower end of the points at this rate. But Yeah, he still has 8 seconds to add it onto his time, and well, if Race Roller didn't have that penalty, he'd be looking interesting to get ahead of him as well. As Griffiths has retired, here comes BRT Brian. Is he going to go for a move? He decides not to go for that move. Jitto goes deep, and BRT Brian's going to go for the switchback, and he's right in the wheel tracks here. Is he going to go for that move? He's side by side, going into the right hander. He backs out and stays behind for now. He's still looking interested. He's going on the inside. Jitto goes defensive. Now Brian's going to try around the outside, or is he going to go for a little switchback? Sets him up very nicely, and he's going to go down the inside. Still there. Oh, he managed to catch the car. Well held in the end, and he stays in P8 as Jitto puts up a firm defence of his P7.
Yeah, great racing between those two. Absolutely brilliant show of respect as well. Giving each other racing room. And that is a good sign of racing etiquette as well, as Brian is literally all over the back of Jitto. Remember, he pitted on those tyres at the end of lap 8. So it's been quite a stint for Jitto. He wants those points, as he's fought pretty hard to get them so far. He's just got a few laps to go, and he will definitely score some points in this Grand Prix. Come back and another spin, and despite not racing, Midsy will not finish last. At the looks of things.
By the looks of it, no.
Simply, which is strange in itself. But Corey's really under pressure. Quickly, surely going to get this move done for P5. And there you go, DRS used. Corey will not put up a fight. And there you go, Paraquix is back into the top 5, and Corey drops to P6 as Brian finally clears Jitto for P7 as well. So Jitto did put up a good fight, but unfortunately he has to face the inevitable. The tyres are 8 laps fresher than the Haas. And there you go, Brian finds himself up to P7. Very quiet weekend from the Red Bull driver, but he's on his way to some very solid points. And Race Roller will add another 2 for Red Bull as well. So not a bad weekend for the Red Bull team by any means. Elite Risk currently 10th as well, looking like he'll play in the final points. But this fight for P2 is not over yet. So.
Yeah, we're crowding with the 3-second time penalty. Alguin's going to try his best to get past Andres, but Andres seems to be on it at the moment. And, well, as long as he stays in that DRS, of course, the harder it will be for Alguin to get past. And behind, we still have Para ahead of Corey, and BRT Brian will, well, set to finish in the top 5. Just have a look at the position changes in this race, and, well, BRT Brian has struggled a little bit at the start, but he's coming back with flying colours. Really is crowding up 13 places. We forget that he was starting all the way down in 15th. He's got that penalty, so looks like it's going to be resigned to 4th place unless the other drivers lose the car. But yeah, it's a very nice recovery drive from the Ferrari man.
Yeah, it absolutely is a great drive from crowding. Unfortunately, Mark, so the stream's got that noise again, so you might want to definitely streaming. I don't know how long it's been going on for.
Oh, as Corey goes down the... Oh, he almost went down the side. Hopefully it hasn't gone too long. I don't know why that keeps happening, but I do apologise. But yeah, we're almost on to the last lap. So we are on to the last lap. We didn't update it, but V2 comes into the pits and retires, and we are on to the last lap here as they go through V2's ghost car, and it seems like Luca, well, he's never really looked back ever since he broke DRS.
No, he absolutely hasn't. But this fight for P2 will definitely get spicy indeed, as Ogwin goes a little bit wide. Corey with another penalty. It is an absolute nightmare for the Williams driver. But who's going to be P2? This might decide it here. Is Andres quick enough? Is he close enough? Sorry, to make the move? No, he's not. Ogwin isn't close enough either. But the order might stay the same. But Corey under pressure from Quicks again, as Quicks goes down the inside, and he's through up into P5, so Corey's race has really gone for better worse. He might drop down to P8 at this rate if he carries on fighting. But out in front, Max, Luca has been in a world of his own, and this has been dominant personified.
Corey's going to go around the outside of Paraquix. He's going to try it around the outside, but Paraquix is going to hold firm still. But it's been about one man at home, at his home circuit. It's going to be a French man on top of the French podium. BRT Brian will take 5th place, but it's BRT Luca who takes the race and takes the win of the French Grand Prix here in the Mckeon division. He wins from pole in emphatic fashion. And crowding across the line in 2nd, he will go back down to 4th as Andres takes 2nd place. Ogwin takes the podium position in the end. BRT Brian ends up in 5th. Jitto ends up in 6th place. Corey decides to crash over the line, and he will drop down the order, and he's going to drop actually out of the points by the looks of it because of that.
It's a shame. BRT Luca winning his home race, and Corey does drop out of the points in the end. That is an absolute disaster.
Someone got a point in the end as well for that.
25 points, Mark, are going to the race winner, BRT Luca. You know, we saw his debut in Silverstone. It was only a matter of time before he would get that race win, and he has done that in absolutely dominant fashion in his home race. You couldn't have asked for a better race from the Mercedes driver. 25 points at his home Grand Prix. It's a great feeling, and that is a great way to make your mark in the Mckeon division. And what a style we have in our hands here.
Yeah, he's got electric pace, has Luca, and very much shown by his performance here. The only blemish on his record is that 3-second time penalty. BRT Brian took the fastest lap away from him in the end, and yeah, it's a very nice drive from BRT Brian. Great recovery from crowding and Jitto and Ray Stroller as well. Someone managed to just nick a point at the end after Corey, well, kind of rage crashed at the end, so not very good at all. But yeah, Ogween, that's a 15-point gain in the championship as well. So that will extend his advantage to 40 points. So, yeah, I think he can be happy with that. Especially after starting 7th, he will take the points. Jam will have to come back strong. In a couple of weeks' time, when we go to, I want to say Hungary, but I might be wrong.
I think yeah, you're right. It's Hungary.
Okay, good. As we wait for... It is Ogwin we're waiting for to get into the party. Yes, it is.
Is it?
There he is. So we'll do as we have done before. Ogwin finished 3rd, and Simba, I'll hand it over to you.
Cheers, Max. Ogween, P3 today. It wasn't the race that you were probably hoping for. Qualifying probably was your main weakness today, but talk us through your race. It's another podium regardless.
I mean, yeah, the quali was pretty awful. I didn't actually get a final lap in, so started 8th. My connection was really bad. Like, I lagged out during quali, and in the race I was just lagging all over the place and hoping not to take anyone out. So I tried just staying out of trouble and stuff, but yeah, it's just a DRS train pretty much the whole way until I think Toby lost it and took out Jam, which is unfortunate because I was almost in that. Luckily, he ghosted, and then yeah, Corey had a mare, speeded in the pits, and then spun, which wasn't good. But yeah, it was a solid race. I'll take a P3 in the end. Fair play to Luca. He was so clear, and Andres, well done, on 2nd.
Yeah, it's another podium for you. Extend your championship lead even further. The second half of the season has started. Do you think there'll be? Are you thinking of the championship at this stage, or is it way too early to think about it?
I'm just focusing on the races as they come. To be honest, I'm not really thinking about it yet. So Yeah.
Fair enough, Ogwin. Well done on P3. Andres finishing P2. I'll hand over to Max.
Cheers.
Yeah, Andres. So, well, on the podium, and a very nice drive indeed. Had to wait your turn a few times in the end, but I think you'll hold your head high and say that was a very nice controlled drive from yourself. How did you find that in the cockpit?
Well, first of all, thanks so much, and well done to Luke and Torgun as well. That you two both had unbelievable pace. I mean, it was a struggle from start to finish. Really, quali obviously was really difficult. I managed to get a very nice lap in at the end. Probably P4 was the best I could have hoped for. That lap was basically the best the fastest I could go, I think, in quali. And then in the race, just kind of keeping it clean, basically. Turn one is always a bit messy at France, but just kind of keeping in a straight line. Held on to P4. From that point, it was the RS train. I think I had Power Quicks in front of me who was starting to pull away, and Court as well. They were both starting to pull away. I managed to get over them and just slowly started to close the gap back up to them. Then the pit stops happened, and it was kind of the same again, really. Corey unfortunately spun. He had really good pace as well, but yeah, obviously fell back. And from that point, it was just not making mistakes. Yeah, not getting penalties, not having any moments, and just kind of getting the job done, really. But it was an absolute that was just an absolute sweat session from everyone. So yeah.
Yeah, well done on the second place. That was really good. It's hopefully to see you on the podium at some point again this season.
Yeah, thanks so much.
So hand back over to Simba. Excuse me. Hand back over to Simba for our race winner.
Cheers, Max. BRT Luca, you are a race winner in the Mckeon division. Congratulations. Your first win in the division, and you made it look really easy. So talk us through it.
Thank you very much, mate. Well, to be fair, quali, I mean, I was feeling very, very confident through the whole stages of qualifying, and I managed to get pole by 10th and a bit. But Corey was really fast, and I was like, this could be tough in the race. And then early on in the race, first 4 laps, I was just not using the RS at all, and I was on like 95%, and then dipped all of it and managed to get a gap. And then from then, I was just keeping it on track and being consistent. And pit stops came, I was about 6 seconds ahead. A few drivers undercut me, but the gap was just too big, so I was just chilling at the front and yeah, managed to keep it on track. And there was no safety cars as well, which was very, very nice. And yeah, very happy with my first win and 2 poles in 3 races as well, so very happy.
Yeah, I mean, of course you narrowly missed out in Silverstone in your first race, and you've got your win in your third attempt here in the Mckeon division. Do you think there'll be more wins to come at the second half of the season?
Well, hopefully, yeah. I mean, I've always been near the top in the first 3 races, so I bottled Silverstone quite a bit, and Jam was just too fast. And then Austria, I had a good sprint race, but then 50% just not going well at all. And then this France came up, which is one of my best tracks and my home track as well. So I didn't practice too much, and it was just really consistent. And hopefully, I can get a few more. I haven't checked the calendar yet, so I don't really know, but yeah.
Well, I'm sure there'll be more occasions of you fighting for the win, but I'm gonna hand over to Merckx for the outro because I'm not streaming this. So Merckx, over to you, mate.
Yeah, so a very competitive French Grand Prix in the Mckeon division. BRT Luca is your winner, and we will have action back in SLR next week. Not the Mckeon division. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for the Hungarian Grand Prix. But that will be all for now. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you back in France for the rest of the divisions next weekend. For now, it's good night.